Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and I have another diamond in the rough for you guys to meet today. His name is Jyaire Stevens. He is an outside linebacker and edge rusher out of Buffalo, previously out of Lafayette. So nice to have you, man.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Again, I feel like you're doing well so far. During this pre-draft time right now for you. I mean, did very well at your pro day. Again, like I had said, I mean, you played for Lafayette and then finalized your collegiate career there at Buffalo. But Jair, if you don't mind, kind of go ahead and just get us started. Tell us where you're from and go from there.
Yeah, so my name's Jyaire Stevens. I'm from Wappingers Falls, New York, which is a small town in Dutchess County. And then I also went to Royce Ketchum High School, and there I played basketball, football, and then my senior year I also ran track. And then from there I went to Lafayette College, played my 4 years there and had a great time, and then grad transferred to the University at Buffalo.
Cool.
And now here we are.
Yep. Obviously, we kind of covered the basis there. So do want to go back and go over some of the things that you had mentioned. But dude, let's go back even further. How long have you played the game of football?
I've been playing since second grade.
So since second grade,
So
that would put you, I'm trying to think, 8 years old.
yeah, so it's about 14 years of football.
Yeah, it's a good long time for sure. Um, And I know from our times, talking previously that, dude, you've actually played multiple positions in your life. And so not just an outside linebacker and edge rusher, but also spending some time as an offensive player. And I gotta ask, when was the last time you scored a touchdown?
And the last time I scored a touchdown was probably my senior year. At the University of Buffalo and at Lafayette, we had some plays, some special teams plays in there, but they never got ran. So unfortunately, my last time was in high school.
All right. And so, I mean, you were wide receiver slash tight end. Is that kind of how it worked?
Honestly, from second grade through my high school career, I was a running back and I loved it. I was a big, tall, lanky running back. Obviously, I didn't fill out like Derrick Henry, but I was playing running back and I enjoyed it. And then I also did play receiver, played a little bit of safety in high school as well as outside linebacker. And then I was also a return specialist, which was crazy to see on film, 6'4" guy back there returning kicks.
Yeah, that does kind of sound kind of odd. I mean, again, these days, obviously, 6'4", 240 pounds, which obviously, dude, that puts you at a formidable size as an edge rusher. And I would imagine you were a little smaller in high school. Typically, they would put a 240-pound guy back there to return kicks. So, again, Ketchum High School is what you said, right?
Yes.
And then also, I think some people knew you as a basketball guy, and like you said, 1 year of track and field during your time there. Dude, obviously football is your sport. That's the one that you chose to pursue, not any of those other sports. So I gotta ask, why? What is it about the game of football that you love so much?
Honestly, when I was younger, it was the contact because my mom, my grandma, everybody would try to put me in basketball because that's also what my dad played. And to me, I just viewed the sport as soft at the time. It was like I want the physicality of it. And we had moved from Wappingers at one point to Pound Ridge, New York. And over there, when I was in third and fourth grade, I believe, or fourth and fifth, and they didn't have a youth football team over there.
Hmm.
So at that time, I didn't have a choice. My choice was flag football or basketball, and I didn't want to play flag because that made it even softer to me. There was no contact. So then I was kind of forced to play basketball, and that's when I first picked it up.
Gotcha. So the physicality, of course. And dude, sometimes you watch basketball these days, and you kind of get a little disappointed because you get these dudes who are flopping all around the place, and like faking like these fouls, and obviously that's I guess it's part of the game. It's a little odd, but do you consider yourself a basketball fan?
I definitely would consider myself a basketball fan. I get a lot of I guess scrutiny for it, but my favorite player is Russell Westbrook. I just love the competitiveness that he brings. Everybody tries to come at him for his jump shot and all this other stuff, but he brings it every single day.
A little different. I think most people always gravitate towards like LeBron. I think a lot of people gravitate towards him and maybe perhaps some other guys, but certainly Russell Westbrook, good player. But hey, nice to be unique, man, and have your own guy that you're really a big fan of. Cool. So let's go ahead and move forward. So you finish up your time there in high school at Ketchum, and you end up at Lafayette College. And obviously that's an FCS school that's in Pennsylvania, a little south from where you're at. So talk about that whole recruiting process and you ending up at Lafayette.
Yeah, the recruiting process is tough, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know very much about it, and I didn't know much until my mom actually had a friend reach out and help her a little bit so that we could get things going. Because at first, we were just going to show up on college campuses and hope to run into some football coaches and see what would happen. But obviously, that's not how things work. So we were actually able to get in contact with, at the time, the Matha head coach, and he had invited me over and we talked. And I wanted to go there after our conversation, but even without me not becoming a part of the school and everything, he had reached out to some schools, and I was able to walk onto the campuses and meet the coaches and whatnot because of him. And that was definitely something that opened the door for me, and I'm forever grateful. But after that, it became more of okay, now I know I have to go to college camps to get my name out there. And then the schools. My first offer was Army West Point, and I was happy, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, I don't really want to go to the army. So it was like a little love-hate thing there, but that was exciting. And then a couple more offers rolled in, such as UPenn, Lafayette, and I actually had the University at Buffalo, um, which is interesting enough. But at that time, I also didn't know your scholarship wasn't just your scholarship offer. There's multiple guys being offered, and if somebody takes it, then yours is no longer there. And that's what happened with Buffalo. Um, so after that had happened, I decided, Lafayette was my next best offer, and I took it and had a great time there.
Yeah, I mean, you really need to sell yourself very well, and I know some people that are very young coming out of high school, they don't know that. Obviously, you have to put a lot of you know, I don't know what it is, man. Like you need to market, you need to understand how to market yourself and get your name out there, and obviously, hopefully, go on several visits and get your name out there, send film, all these crazy things just to kind of get noticed. But obviously, ended up at Lafayette where you did fairly well for yourself. I mean, you were an All Patriot League player, once upon a time, which is great, and so. Had what 4 years there, and ended up getting at least one one degree under your belt while you were there, right?
Yes, sir. I got a degree in international affairs.
So uh, before we get talking about anything else, obviously you said international affairs. So what do you think that might perhaps help you out in as you move along in this life of yours? Maybe like after your football days are done.
Honestly, my family is big in law enforcement. So, you know, and I love, it sounds cheesy, but like I love action and crime movies. So when I think about stuff like that, I could see myself in a job position where I'm not necessarily, obviously, it's not contact the way football is, but it keeps things exciting. It keeps you on your toes. and it keeps you in like a competitive nature. So I would say some type of law enforcement, maybe. I mean, I always thought the FBI and stuff like that was pretty interesting. So I could pursue something like that.
Interesting. Certainly obtainable, but Jair, obviously, as of right now, you are trying to pursue the game of football. So let's continue on in your journey. You had 4 years at Lafayette, and then, of course, decided to transfer, come a little closer to home, and end up at Buffalo, or what? How'd that work?
Well, it definitely wasn't closer to home.
No, no, no. I
It was
kind
in
of
New
joke
York,
about that.
but nah, I know. But yeah, so I did my 4 years at Buffalo. When I graduated, a lot of us guys, the seniors, we kind of looked at each other and we were like, what do we want to do? Do we want to go back and try this thing out again, or do we want to try something new? And I also spoke with my position coach at the time, Coach Wilkins, and he told me, whatever you do, just make sure you don't regret it. So I took it upon myself to enter my name in the portal because I always wanted to know, what if I could make it to a bigger stage and compete with guys that I never got to compete with before. Because at Lafayette, I think the biggest teams we played were Air Force and Temple. So I had wanted to, branch out and see how I paired up against guys that were supposed to be, I guess better if they were at a better school. So that's kind of how that went.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I think everybody understands that. I mean, don't get me wrong, Patriot League, a lot of good competition, a lot of great teams, but let's just face it, everybody wants to get as high in the ranks as you possibly can. I mean, be a part of the FBS or even hire one of these Power Five schools. Everybody wants to do that, of course, but Buffalo's a pretty good school. I mean, they've gotten guys drafted, often enough, of course. And so you get an opportunity to go to a place who, originally recruited you. So definitely doesn't sound too bad. So talk a little bit about the difference in maybe perhaps how you were used at both of those institutions and even the defenses there. If you can kind of describe that a little bit.
Okay. So at Lafayette, um, it was a lot of, I would say it was a lot of bouncing around, honestly. My freshman year, it was kind of like, feel out the process, get used to the playbook, all that stuff. And I was still an outside linebacker, but I was behind an older guy. So I mainly played special teams. And their special teams, I mean, of course it was prioritized, but I wouldn't say the schemes went into super deep depth. But when I got to Buffalo, I definitely learned a lot more about special teams and how important it is, especially when you're trying to get to the next level, showing that you can put good stuff on tape day in and day out, and be a versatile guy on all four. Because at Buffalo they had this thing called the core four. If you played all four special teams, and I was one of those guys, and I believe there were about two or three others that were able to accomplish that for multiple games. And then when I finally felt like, I got settled in my sophomore year at the outside linebacker position, we kept getting hit with injuries. So then I transferred down to the defensive line to help out there. Um, and it was kind of like getting thrown into the deep end. You don't really know what to do, what to expect. It's kind of just learning on the fly throughout the season. And then going into my junior year, it was more outside linebacker, and then defensively, um, just learning different drops, coverages, trying to get grasp a hold of that. And then when it came to my senior year, we had the coaching switch. So John Garrett was no longer our head coach, which means you clear house and you start all over again. So then when the new coaching staff came, they put me on the defensive line. And at first I wasn't too thrilled about that because I was like, well, I just got comfortable, as an outside linebacker. But, as football players, we adapt and learn new skills and whatnot. So I embraced it. And like I mentioned before, Coach Wilkins, he was by far my best coach that I've ever had. He helped mold me, and he knew how to make guys the best that they could be. And having that experience and him as my defensive line coach definitely helped me a lot in my abilities. And I do wish I had another year with him. However, he helped me a lot, and I'm really grateful for him. And then going forth to Buffalo, Coach said he recruited me, him and Coach Mo, and all the guys out there. They did a really good job, and they helped me feel welcome when I got to Buffalo. And I would say when I got there, that's when I really learned a lot more about schemes and coverages because we would have full unit meetings, full defensive unit meetings where we would go into depth. We'd have call outs, asking guys what their job and what their role is in a certain coverage. And it really just helped me become better defensively and understanding the why behind a lot of our play calls and why, if it felt like you were being put out of position to make a play, what was really happening on the other side of the ball or what was really happening on the back end so that you're working as a unit as a whole. And that helped me grow a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of opportunities, a lot of situations that you were in where you're really challenged to sometimes start over. I mean, again, with like some of the coaching changes, but you know, both schools have seen lots of success. So it's nice to be able to have the experience at both the institutions. Um, I want to say it was probably a couple years ago. Lafayette had, is it was it Malik Ham? Is that who was there?
Yeah,
So
he had
I wanted to just
graduated.
I wanted to
Oh,
just
go ahead.
chat with you about if it was him or maybe perhaps some other people at both of these institutions. Who influenced you the most?
I would probably say Malik. That's my guy. I love that guy. When I was a freshman and I came in and I was being recruited, he was the first one I met on campus. I walked into Lower Farrakhan, which is where we eat and everything, and he was sitting down, and Coach Siamalu introduced me to him, and he was like, "You're gonna be just like him." And we stood next to each other, shook hands, or whatever. And then as the years went on, we became friends, roommates, and all that stuff. Now he's obviously with the Ravens, and we're rooting for him. So I would say Malik was definitely a huge influence for me.
Awesome. And you yourself, I mean, you have guys like that you can kind of be buddies with and learn from. But for you yourself, what's been like the biggest change? I mean, since maybe if we look at you now versus you coming into Lafayette that first season, what's changed the most for you?
I would probably say my mindset. Um, just being able to look at the college football world and understand like everybody's the same. Like to a lesser degree, I mean, obviously you have your freak athletes and guys that, can show out, but when it dwindles down to it, it's the exposure you had when you were in high school, the resources you had access to, and at the end of the day, everybody's the same and I noticed that the most when I went to Buffalo and, played the bigger schools, and I never felt overwhelmed or, out of place. And it was just a testament to that. And that was something Malik had also let me know as well. He's like, nobody, everybody bleeds the same blood. Nobody's superhuman. Nobody's, better. They're only as good as what you make them out to be, essentially. So
Gotcha. But of course, this past season you bled blue because you were playing for Buffalo. So, I want to give you an opportunity really just to talk about some of your best memories. Of course, being at both places, had an opportunity to play against a lot of talented players. Give me a couple of those memories of yours, maybe like your biggest highlights.
okay. So well, first and foremost, going to Buffalo, I'm grateful that I got to play with one of my best friends. He's 2 years younger than me, and he went to school at Ketchum. and we never got to play on the field together. 3 years younger than me, sorry. He was a freshman when I was a senior. And we never got to play on the field together because he got pulled up late in the season. So we'd practice but never play. And he also helped convince me to get to Buffalo. His name's John Capo. And so being able to play on special teams with him and some defensive reps, that was really special to me. And that will definitely be a core memory. Um, but highlight wise, I would definitely say my last game against Eastern Michigan. I feel like that was the best game I'd had my whole college career. I had a couple TFLs, a sack, and I just felt like I was flying around. The Toledo game, that'll definitely be a core memory. I had never played in the snow before. It wasn't heavy snow, but there was still slush and everything on the ground. So that was just a cool experience. To be able to have that. Maction as a whole was just a unique experience to gain. And then of course Wisconsin, going from Lafayette to having about 5,000 fans, 6,000 fans at games to Wisconsin where you have 80, 85,000 all excited for a home opener was insane. But it definitely was a great memory and a great experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, completely different when you look up and you see so many people, man. Like, and it just kind of brings obviously a little bit more excitement when you have so many people in the stands watching. Which looking back at COVID, man, like I don't think anyone really liked playing, with no one in the stands. So definitely a little different. Do you want to talk about what you bring to the table as a prospect? So I feel like one of the great things about you as a prospect is versatility. If I'm being real, like you have a guy who's athletic enough to do a lot. You obviously core member on special teams, but also on defense. I mean, you can play as an edge rusher or stand ups, a guy who can maybe drop back and cover. Is there anything else that maybe perhaps we haven't talked about that you want to highlight about you as a prospect?
I would just say like I said, my mindset has changed. So I'd say my willingness to play wherever need be. Like you said, drop back in coverage, edge rush, and I'd even be open to, being put in the box as an inside linebacker if that's the case, or flipping sides and trying me out as tight end, whatever a team feels is necessary for my success and their success. I'll meet them right there halfway. But also just my size, my length. I feel like I'm quicker than what one may tend to believe off visuals, but I just feel like I can help teams where they feel like they may be lacking at any position, really. Um, Probably not corner or safety, but positions within my realm.
I get
And
you.
I'm looking forward to be able to show that hopefully soon.
Well, Jair, just to kind of highlight something that is really one of the biggest reasons why I ended up contacting you for this interview is that I feel like you did very well at your pro day. You have a guy who, again, your size, about 6'4", 240, runs a 4.65, which is a fair speed, which I know you're going to say you ran faster. I think everybody does, but which obviously you probably can if we're being honest. But one of the things also that really helps is, dude, your size. I mean, you have over an 80-inch wingspan. Like you have, long arms, 33 plus arms, big hands. I mean, you have a guy whose frame you can work with. Maybe there are some pro teams that want you to put on a few extra pounds, which I know you can do. So I do think that that really helps you out overall. Um, Jair, as we continue in our time, I do want to take at least a brief moment to really learn anything else about you that we have yet to talk about. Is there anything else about you that you think others might find interesting? Hobbies, interests, passions, or anything that you want to lay out there for people so that they know more about you?
I think, I mean, I have one fun fact. I'm one of 13 siblings, which is crazy to say. Um, I have about nine on my dad's side, and then my stepfather, he has five as well. But of course I count as one of the nine on my dad's side. Um, and it's just an interesting dynamic, growing up and having so much family all over the place and being able to hang out and meet. I feel like I'm meeting somebody new every family function, and that's a blessing to me, and I'm very grateful for them, all of them. But outside of that, I would say one of my main like passions and something that I've seen in life, like I really enjoy helping people, and it doesn't matter what it is. Like I just feel like it's a lot of people feel like they can approach me and that I'm approachable and they can come to me with whatever it might be, and I'm right there for them no matter what. I mean, whether it's at a job or a friend coming to talk to me, anything like that. Um, I feel like I'm pretty well versed in that area.
So, kind of along those same lines, like, have you thought about maybe perhaps like a charity or cause that you might maybe put some more effort into? If given the opportunity to be a pro athlete that can give back to the community.
That's definitely something that I've been not necessarily approached with, but something new that I guess I learned recently while at Buffalo. The other outside linebacker that I was playing with, Max Michelle, he has his own charity and nonprofit called Sport of Life that he's a co-founder of, and he did his best to get the football team involved a lot, and we would do different charities and events out there in Buffalo. And just watching the way he was so passionate about it and the way he would, bust his butt every day, every week, to make sure those things happened. That definitely opened up a light for me, a door for something that may be possible for me down the road. But I wouldn't say it's been something that I definitely thought a lot about prior to arriving at Buffalo and seeing what Max was doing.
Gotcha. Well, Jai, appreciate you sharing a little bit about Max's, thing that he's doing. But obviously, man, we're, talking to each other under the framework of you trying to get to the next level, trying to get noticed, getting your foot in the door into some pro team that'll give you an opportunity to hopefully make a 53. I think that's really the goal right now. That's what we're trying to do. So, um, go ahead and close us out with your final thoughts and tell all these people like why they need to take a chance on you and anything else that you have to tell people, go for it, man, and close us out.
Yeah, I would just say, I feel like I've seen it all. Um, in college, I've gone through five different position coaches, which is every single year it's a new coach, four different defensive coordinators, and three different head coaches. So I would say I'm definitely able to adapt to whatever situation is thrown at me. Um, I'm highly competitive, and I'm going to give it my all every single day. Like I said, my favorite basketball player is Russell Westbrook. I feel like modeling, obviously, my game is football, but modeling your game and your mentality after someone like that, um, it brings a different type of energy, a different type of competitive edge. I'd say I'm very disciplined, head down, get the work done. And I'd say I'm more of a silent leader, but I can be vocal if need be. Um, and then when you're on the field, obviously it's strictly business, but have fun with it because, like I said at the very beginning, I wanted to play this game because of contact and it was fun. Like it was the most fun game to me. Outside of basketball, outside of track, like this was it for me. So when I play with passion and I play as if, it's the little kid that always wanted to do this for a long time.
Well, cool. Well, hopefully you continue to have an opportunity to do that and want to wish you all the best with everything you have going on. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
So once again, we have Jyaire Stevens. He is an outside linebacker and edge rusher out of Buffalo. Definitely check him out. He ended it with a good note, expecting good things here very soon. Thanks for watching.